In this exercise, we're going to take a look at the Magic Wand tool and the Quick Selection tool. We're going to start with the Magic Wand tool. Now, depending on what tool you have selected, across the top in the options bar, you'll have different settings that appear for your use. We're going to start by clicking on parts of our image with the Magic Wand tool. And you'll notice that you'll see the marching ants appear, giving you a selection. Now, how this selection is chosen is by the tolerance setting up here in the options bar. If you have a low tolerance setting, you'll get a very narrow range of pixels selected. If you have a high tolerance setting, and I just set that at 100, and I'm going to come back and click on this area, you'll see that you'll get much more selected. So depending on what you're working on, you can decide what tolerance level you want to set this at. I'm going to go back to 32 and deselect by pressing Command D. Now what I want to do is select the yellow in this flower here. So I'm going to click one time with the Magic Wand tool, and you'll see that it's selected a range of pixels in that area, and I want to actually increase this range. But how I'm going to do this is by going to the Select menu and select the command Similar. And that way you notice it's going to look at the image and select areas that are similar in pixels. And I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go back to the Select menu and select Grow. And now it's grown out to an area that's pretty acceptable for what I want to use it for. Now with this, I'm going to actually soften up the selection, because right now the selection is very much like cutting with a cookie cutter or a pair of scissors. So I'm going to go back up to the Select menu, choose Modify, and choose Feather. And I'm going to extend that out 30 pixels. I believe the default is 10 or 5. I changed it to 30. And let's choose OK. Now what I want to do is actually brighten up this area. And with that, I'm going to come over to the Adjustments panel over here on my left, on my right. And I'm going to choose the Curves Adjustment. And the Properties panel pops out. And I'm going to just take my diagonal line here and drag it upward just a bit so that it brightens up this area. And I'm going to toggle this off and on so that you can see that, yes, it did brighten up that area. So I'm satisfied with that. And if I look over here in my Layers panel, you'll see that new Curves Adjustment layer appearing directly above my background layer. So that's how you can achieve selections with the Magic Wand tool. The next tool I'm going to use will be the Quick Selection tool. Now the Quick Selection tool is a very cool tool, very smart. What I'm going to do is drag in the area of the flower petals. And as I drag, the Quick Selection tool quickly realizes that I want to select all of this. So as I continue to drag across the flower, it's going to select this entire range of pixels that I'm dragging over, and in some cases it may select even more than I'm asking for. Like in this case right over here, it selected a little portion that I didn't want to select. So in order to remove that, I can do one of two things. I can come up to my panel options area and select the Subtract icon, or I could have just held down my Option key on my keyboard, which does the exact same thing. It tells the tool to subtract the area that you're dragging over. So I'm going to subtract just this little area off to the right here, and now I have my selection. What I'd like to do is darken the area outside of my flower. And sometimes it's easier to select the area you don't want than it is to select the area you do want. So by selecting the flower, and let me add one more area to my flower. I want to add this petal down here in the lower left. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and notice that a plus sign appears in the tool, and that allows me to drag and add that area. So now with my selection, I'm going to go to the select menu and choose inverse. And now everything outside of my flower is selected. I'm going to come back over to the right to my adjustments panel, and I'm going to create a new curve adjustment. And with that, I'm going to drag my diagonal line downward so that I can darken the area outside of my flower. So let me toggle off this adjustment off and on so that you can see what the curves adjustment is doing. Alright, I'm going to dismiss this panel. So you can see where I started out and where I'm ended up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to hold down the Option key and toggle everything off but the background layer, and now toggle everything back on. So that works, and that works. So now I have my new image, just a darker background area, a lighter interior of the flower, and all I did was use curves adjustment layers, and I used the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. Hope this was helpful.